All right, let's go ahead and get started on a mountain painting. This will be my second one that I've started today. And this does have liquid white. We're going to start with some pink. I'm probably getting it too low, but I just throw it on here. We'll work with it. And I'm using a 1-inch brush. And this is a wet on wet painting. If you don't know what that is, you use liquid white or liquid clear. It's something that you can buy, and it makes your paints blend together real easy. And it does make your entire canvas wet. And that's why they call it wet on wet. And most of you have probably heard that term before, wet on wet paintings. And that's what it is. See how easy that blends? I mean, I don't use it on, I use it in the sky on almost all of my paintings, but only on mountain paintings do I put it all over the canvas, because I really like my paintings dry. But mountains look a lot better if you use it. You don't have to use it. And I've got lots of paintings where I don't use it. You don't have to use liquid white, especially if you're starting out. If you're starting out and you have trouble making your paint break, that would really help you not to use liquid white on the mountains, because you can just put it in the sky. You don't have to use it. Let's take some Prussian blue. That was phthalo blue. Let me take some Prussian blue. Let's darken this up. Ooh, yeah. See how dark that is? Corners and edges. Nice and dark. And boy, Prussian blue will do it. Real dark. It's real strong, man. Once you get it on your brush, it's you can't use your brush for much more. Let me set that down. Let me grab a clean 2-inch brush. If I can find one. My brushes, I've used almost every one of them. I'm down to this is my last clean 2-inch I have. So let's start in the middle. Let's do crisscross strokes. Stay in the pink for as long as you can. And then we're going to start working outward toward the blue. And it's perfectly fine if the blue mixes in. That's perfectly fine, because it's going to anyway. So if it does, don't panic. Makes it look more natural anyway when you get a little blue in here. Let's start here, start working our way up. And I'm wiping my brush off because I got a lot of blue on my brush. Continuously wiping my brush. Yeah, like I said, you're going to get blue in this pink, and that's fine. It actually makes it look better. I wish you could use yellow, but you cannot use yellow. Yellow and blue do not work together. So you have to use red or something of that nature. You cannot stick yellow up here. Not with blue. I've done a sky that's all yellow, and you can use yellow ochre and things like that, but you cannot, but it don't have no blue in it. Let me stand back and take a look at this a minute. Let's go ahead and start on some mountains. This is Prussian blue, black, and a little bit of crimson, alizarin crimson. And it's got a few other colors mixed in it that I just took, just leftover colors I stuck in there. I really don't know what they are. But anyways, I took some out of this, put it there, added some white. This is for a distant mountain. I got a little sketch that I sketched out earlier. It's right above my head right here. I usually have nothing, but sketch is okay. It'll give me a little bit of an idea of what I'm doing. Let's just do something like that. Okay, there's one. That was easy, wasn't it? I think that I want something over here. Another distant mountain. Let's put something right on the edge. Bring it up. Something right there. Bring this up a little higher. Let's scrape this off. Trying to get off the excess paint, that's what you want to do. That's the reason you scrape things off. Let me wipe this knife off. Set this down. Try to find something, a brush that's not super contaminated, which is practically impossible at this point. Well, let's just see what happens. Just pull it out, spread it out, pull out your collars, blend it in. These are our distant mountains right here. This is what I'm supposed to be doing right now, is the distance. And they're supposed to be lighter in color the further away something is. I think I want to have some water somewhere in here. It might even come up a little higher. Somewhere in there. So I'm going to bring this down. Just bring it down. Now let's do our closer mountain. Get my big knife out. And we're going to use the darker color for our closer mountain. Let me take a look here. I think, let's just see what happens. I always make real steep mountains. Let's bring this down, bring this up. I didn't mean to do that. Let's take it kind of across. I don't know, I'm just feeling it as I'm going along. I think this might be okay. Let me look here a minute. Put some of this color in here to cover up that pink. Oh, let's look. Let's study for a minute. Okay, maybe this one will come up a little higher. This one a little like that. Well, let's pull this mountain out and let's see what we got. I got my paper towels right here in front of me, as you can see. I always got to keep them close. Okay. Now, this is the same brush we just used there. Let me wipe it off a little bit. Let's see what this might look like if we keep it. I change my mind sometimes. I might look at this and think, ooh, that's terrible. That's only one way to find out if you like it, and that's to go ahead and just pull the collars out, see what it looks like. I'll try to make the mountains look different every time I try to. don't know if that looks a little bit like a volcano or not. I have a bad habit of that. Let's see here. Let's bring this up a little bit more. Let's bring this up a little bit more. Bring this over. Actually, I think I'm going to bring this over to here. Bring this down more like this. I think that's a little better. Okay, wipe our knife off. Now let's pull this out. And see what happens. Might as well put it all down through here. All right, let's start with our farthest away mountains. And I'm going to take some of this white this topping that I made earlier. And I'm going to add some white to it. I want to add some white to this. I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. This is for our distant mountains. I want it lighter than that. And I may put some burnt sienna in that and make that a little darker. Let's start right here. And just barely touch it, literally. We're just barely touching this. And I'm continuously wiping off my knife. Bring this together. Oops, there went my paper towels. Okay, we're back. Let's do this one. And as I've said before, and I probably already said this, I am barely touching this. That's really the secret. This paint that I use, they always say to use thick paint. It's just normal paint. Winsor & Newton. There's nothing special about it. Trick is to barely touch it. That's the whole trick to it. Okay, let's do our other mountain right here. This one is in a tricky little spot, but that's okay. The sun is coming, or the light is coming down from the right, is what we're going to say today. Even though it's light behind the mountains, we're still going to say the sun is coming, or the light is coming down from the right. Okay, let's go ahead and do our big mountain here. I'm going to put a little bit of burnt sienna in this pile. Darken it a little bit, maybe more umber, burnt umber. And I hope I made enough. I'm not sure I did. Maybe a little bit more umber. Brown, burnt umber, brown. Okay, let's get us some. I don't know if I made enough or not, but we're going to find out. Let's start right here. I always start along the edges first because they're more difficult. A little more difficult to deal with sometimes. Just right along the edge. Barely touch it. Let's go ahead and start here. Start right here. And work our way down. And we're going to put some right here too. Bring this together. Yeah, I always like my mountains nice and steep for some reason. I don't even do it on purpose. A lot of times it's just automatically they become steep. Bring this down, start curving it. This is a pretty nice collar right here. I kind of like that. I think I'm going to bring this on over. I'm trying to keep my paper towels rolled where I can get to them here. Yeah, let's make this one a little, curve this back a little more. Okay. Looks a little better. And just bring it down here. I may add a mountain, a couple small mountains right through here. Let's see. Maybe I will. Maybe one more. Something different, isn't it? Let's get a knife. I mean a brush. Let's pull these little mountains out here. See what happens. Putting mountains in front of mountains. All right, I'm going to mix up a darker collar for our topping. This is the topping we were using. I'm going to have to borrow some of that. I'm going to take some real dark colors. Oops, maybe I better not do that. I'll grab some black. Let's make this quite a bit darker because it's closer. I'm thinking this might be enough right here. Let's try it and see. Let's see here a minute. That's definitely a darker color. That is for sure. Let's try this one. Let's bring this on down like so. Okay, that don't look too bad. Let's bring this over. Let's connect these two. Well, that's different looking, isn't it? Let's take us some clean white and put on here. Actually, you know what? Let's do the back Let's do the far away mountains first. Let me test this right here. It's a little dark. Let's add some white to this mountain color. That way I can use it. We don't waste it. Let's see what happens now. Let's start here on this one. Start here where nobody will notice. In case you mess it up. Alright, I think I like that. Let's try this area here. That's not too bad. Just try this. Yeah, that's not too bad. I think I do like that. Okay, now we're going to get darker as it comes toward us. So let's try this original color. See, now that's darker, but is it too dark? I'll add a little white in it. Let's see how this looks. It's still dark, but it may be okay. It's pretty dark in it. We can't do that. We're going to have to add some more white to it. Let's try it again. Just packing it on. That's still a little too light. Just keep mixing it till you get it the way you want it. Sometimes you got to add quite a bit of white. Let's try it right here. Okay, that's a little better. That's a little better. Let's try this right here. And keep your knife clean. And as it gets closer, it's going to get darker right here. See how dark that is? That way you can tell it's getting closer towards you. Okay, I think I might need to switch my knife. I will. Got to get into these harder areas here. These areas here are kind of tough. That's why I got a small knife and a big knife. Just for that very reason. Okay, oops, there's one more I missed right there. Okay, take a clean white. I got a spot right here. And we're just going to skim across the tops. Higher elevation. That's what we always say, isn't it? Just skim it across the top. If nothing else, it gives it an extra color, don't it? If nothing else, it's an extra color we can use. Just make sure your knife is clean. That's the important thing. right into here. That might be okay. I mean, you know, you don't want to overdo stuff. I might put a speckle or two down through here, but just lightly. That's good. I'm going to put some on these back mountains, I think. I mean, they're high too. Probably not as high as the one in front, but they're still high. Now these ones here in the front, let's see here, I may put something on them, just not white. Let me wipe my knife off. I just stuck it in yellow ochre because I was thinking of doing something. Just for an extra color, maybe we'll just do a little something like this. Just so we're not leaving them out. Yeah, see, that's okay. It's not snow, but it's an extra color. I think that's fine right there. I'm going to set my palette down. Wipe this brush off, they're all dirty. And I want to stick this in some pink because there's pink in the sky. And besides that, by the time I get done, you won't hardly be able to see it anyway. So I'm just going to throw it in now. I'm going to put it up, make it a little lighter. I think I want the water to run about like this. We still got to blend these mountains out too. I'm going to make it a little darker down in here. We may not have any land in this, I don't know. You know, we're just winging it like always. This is actually the mountain collar. Make it even darker down in here. And down here. Now after this, I'm going to let this painting sit for about a day or two, and then whatever I do with it, I don't have to struggle as much because it's dry. If I was to put trees in here now, and that's usually what I do because I'm impatient, I usually have problems because I'm fighting it because it's wet. So what I'm going to do is let this sit for a day or two, and then I won't have those problems. And you won't even know I'm gone. All right, folks, I'm going to let this sit and I'll be back. Okay, this is the next day. And this is still a little wet. I maybe should have put my reflections in first. I don't know. It's okay. I think we'll be able to deal with it. But anyways, I don't like these two mountains here. I really don't like too many of these, really, but these two I really don't like. I think I'll keep these. And so I had to put me a little piece of land here. You have to adjust with your painting, so that's what I'm doing. I'll put a piece of land here and I'm going to cover this area up with something. Let's start back here with some trees, or just something. I'm going to say they're trees. Could use pine trees, you know, but. And we're going to go ahead and pull them down far enough so we can pull our reflections. Sap green and black. Yeah, see, this is still pretty wet. But, you know, if you waited 2 days, it might be too late to put your reflections in. This is only the first day, the very next day. We're going to let these get a little bigger as they come toward this edge. We'll let them get a little bigger. Yeah, if there's something you don't like on a painting, and if there's any possible way you can cover it without redoing the entire painting, do it. I mean, don't just waste a painting. That stuff gets expensive. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly fine. People do it all the time. Whether they tell you they do or not, they do. And there's nothing. Yeah, these canvases, man, they're getting to be kind of expensive here lately. I go through a lot of them. Let's take a look. I don't know what I'm gonna put there. I could just put bushes, pine trees, just anything just to kind of blur it out a little bit. Let me wipe my brush off. And I'm gonna put a little sap green and yellow. Probably more yellow than sap green. Sun's coming down this way. We just want to put a little bit of something in here. It don't have to be perfect or beautiful, just a little color. And preferably touch the right side of the, I'll call them trees, if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it, it's fine. And you want to put it down here in your water also. Let's get us a brush and pull those reflections out and see what happens. Make sure it's nice and clean. This is one of my cleaner, newer ones. And get your paper towels in your hand because you're going to need them. Let me actually unroll some of these real quick. Get me a nice clean spot. If I can. All right. Now we got to decide. I don't know. Something like that, maybe. I'm wiping it off, wiping my brush off after every pull to keep it clean. See, I got something right there. I didn't mean to do that. I'll have to blend that out. Okay, let me give me another clean spot here. Apparently these paper towels are not as clean as I thought they were. Yeah, that's better. See, just from doing that, this is what I'm picking up right here. Now we need to go side to side and try to blur these in the best that we can. This spot here might give me a little problem. See, gone. There's another one gone. Okay, see, that don't look too bad. Let's put our water line in. Let's take you a little white. Kind of flatten it out. Get you a little roll, as they say. And just skim her across. That's plenty good enough for a water line. Okay, I figured out what I'm going to do. One thing I got to do is try to scrape some of this paint here off. I'm going to have to put a big pine tree. See, these are things you have to deal with sometimes when you're painting. And I'm going to show you how to fix a problem. Like I said, I didn't like these mountains, these two in particular right here. So I'm going to take a pine tree, make it tall enough to come down and cover most of it, and then I'll just have to add one or two little smaller pine trees. But I got to get some of this paint off of here. It may have to be a pretty big pine tree, but that's okay. This is close up. This is how you fix these kinds of problems. I mean, you just got to use your head and just try to figure it out. Because there's usually an answer. This is going to be a pretty big one. I'll bring it all the way down. It may wind up being bigger than that. It's got to cover this area. Or at least to the point where you can't tell what's behind it. It's okay if you see a mountain back here, as long as you can't see where I've scraped it off and stuff like that. That's the main. See, this one pine tree almost covers that whole area. These are things you just got to think about. I mean, you can solve most problems. Now, sometimes a painting will get away from you and you're just dumbfounded. And you got to start over. And it happens to me. It happens to everyone. Trust me. Whether they tell you or not, it happens to everybody. If you've been painting very long, you just got to start over sometimes. These trees I'm going to put in here now are actually going to be behind this one. I just didn't put them in here yet. But that's where they're going to wind up being. They're going to be behind the big tree here. Put a smaller one there. 3 trees would be perfect. And just one right here. And that should cover everything. But yeah, you can figure things out if it just takes a little thinking, a little ingenuity, so to speak. And that's that. Now, since I got this brush, let's go ahead and throw some grass in. I think we're just going to make this, I'm not going to put any rocks, I don't think, or nothing like that, just plain old grass. Because there's not much of it. Speaking of grass, let me put a little cad yellow light out here. I forgot to put out. This is pretty wet anyway. So this is going to mix with this black. That's why I'm just using pure cad yellow light. Plus I like bright colors. And we're just going to bring her down, start switching over to some green. Yeah, there ain't much here. This is getting to be a real muddy mess already, but that's okay because we're about done. We can deal with a little bit of a mess. Sometimes you just got to take your paper towel and really get the paint out of your brush. Just like that, and start again. Sap green. We'll get it one way or the other. Let's take a little Prussian blue. I got some here. Make it real dark toward the edge of the painting down here. This is a dark area anyway, so it's okay. Because most of them trees are probably blocking this. I'll work on this a little bit more probably afterwards. But I'm going to soak up some of this oil off of this with a shop towel, and I'll be back and then we'll finish this and we're done. Okay, we're going to make I made some changes here. I brought this land over a little bit more because I don't like these 2 mountains. I'm going to put some pine tree. I'm going to cover that up. This is a pretty quick, effective way to do it. Just cover it up. And that's what I'm going to do. I just don't like them. I thought I would, but I was wrong. So we're just going to bring a pine tree down here. I might even bring this all the way down. It's okay. We can cover. We'll cover what we need to cover. I just don't. The more I looked at that, I thought, man, you know, someone else may like them. I just don't like them. And if you don't like something, just fix it, get it over with, and it's done. So I'm gonna leave them 2 little ones there. I like those. I'll just bring this all the way down. These mountains are dry. This paint's been sitting around. Now this is wet. But this is dry. We gotta cover that up. I'm using black and sap green, and I'm almost out of black already. I just started. Ain't that something? Let's make this one Let's put one right here. And I won't bring this one down all the way, maybe. I just don't like them. I don't like that spot there. I'm going to fix that too. It's okay to change your mind. Nothing wrong with that. I do it all the time. Let's put us a big one right here, right down the seam of that mountain. Cover that thing up. I mean, you may be able to see a little bit of the mountain behind it, but if you didn't see me doing this, you wouldn't even notice it, more than likely. You know it's there because I'm covering it up. And I might put a leaner right there to cover that up. But I think it looks better with the pine trees in front of it. I just didn't like them. I'll make this a little taller so I can make it a little wider. Black, sap green. Let's put one right here. A leaner. Should always have you a leaner. Leaners are cool. See, now that don't look too bad. I like that. Well, let me go ahead and I'm just going to put a little bit of, actually I might take a shop towel and soak that up. I think I will, and then I'll bring you back when I'm starting to highlight some of these. Okay, I'm back. I've been highlighting these trees, but for those of you who have never seen me do it, this is how I do it. I just take this as pure cad yellow light, and I have a paper towel in one hand, a brush in the other, and I just tap the right side of the tree. We want the light coming down this way, and then I'm just tapping it, and I'm wiping my brush off, getting a reload. And we just work our way on down. And I do it this way just simply because I like it. You don't have to do it this way. You can use a fan brush. There's always different ways to do things. And I'm going to bring this all the way down because this is kind of out by itself. And you can put a little bit here and there in the back side of it too, where the light may be touching. But that's how I do it. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put another bush in. I had to cover this bush up. You need 3. You got to have odd numbers in painting. And I wiped this off. I took a towel, because this is wet, and I wiped off a spot. 1-inch brush, got pure black on it. We're going to use cerulean blue. And let's hope it sticks. That's all you can hope for. I may use the same brush here. Cerulean blue. It's a very nice color. Okay, and I'm going to tap a little white on it. Wipe my brush off again. Brush is filthy. I just started 10 minutes ago. Don't take long, does it? Let's try this. We just want to touch it, because the more you mess with it, the muddier it'll get. Just like that spot, I shouldn't have touched it. But that's okay, I think. Well, folks, that looks like a wrap. I think it turned out pretty good. I'm glad I covered these two mountains. That really bothered me. I didn't like it. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe for more future videos. And thanks for watching.